Hi guys, this is Michelle and I am back to talk about food funerals and to tell or not to tell. So a lot of people talk about food funerals. Well, they don't actually talk about them. They usually just say they either had a food funeral or they didn't have one or they're not going to have one or something like that. But they don't always really go into detail about what they did for their food funeral or what they were actually trying to accomplish with their food funeral. And so I'm going to talk to you about what I think about food funerals and what I did for my food funerals. Yes, that is past tense because I started this whole program in May of this year. And I decided that I was going to go ahead and get my food funerals out of the way before I even start my diet. So I didn't know how much weight I was going to be required to lose during my 6-month supervised weight loss. I just knew that I was going to be required to lose something, and I knew that I was going to be, dieting or cutting back on things. And so I figured the best time to do my food funerals are right at the beginning. And so I actually had 3 food funerals in May. And part of the reason I had 3, well, there was 2 reasons why I had 3 food funerals. One was because I couldn't decide what was going to be the best thing to have. Because for me, it wasn't about having a huge quantity of food. To me, that wasn't the purpose of the food funeral. It was more of the experience. I wanted to make it a memorable occasion that I would look back on and remember and say, oh yeah, that was my food funeral and it was a fantastic time. And so I couldn't decide what I should eat. And so because of that, I chose 3 different cuisines. I went to a steakhouse for one, I had Mexican for the other, and I had Italian food for the other one. And then the other reason that I chose 3 was because I have 3 really good friends here that I wanted to share the experience with, and I wanted to do it one-on-one. So one friend, of course, for each cuisine. So let me talk to you about just one of my food funerals, and then you'll get an idea of what I did for all of them. So for the steakhouse food funeral, we got all dressed up for this steakhouse, and it's one of those expensive places that only serves small portions of food, because for me, it wasn't about having a huge amount of food. I hope after surgery I'll be able to have steak. There are people out there that say that they can have everything that they could have before surgery. But then there are people that I watch that are even a year out or longer who say that steak doesn't sit well with them. I mean, they can eat it, but it doesn't sit well with them. Or people who say they can't have pasta, they just, feel sick if they have pasta. People who say they can't have bread, different things like that. And so I don't know what I'm going to be able to have or not have after surgery. But the one thing that I do know for sure after surgery is that I'm not going to be able to have a dinner like the one that I was about to have. I'll never be able to have an appetizer plus bread plus salad plus entree plus dessert. I'll never be able to do that again after surgery. And so really what I was kind of trying to do was commemorate the whole experience of being able to go out and eat a leisurely meal. And so, that's what we did. We started off with appetizers. They were small, with a cocktail. And then we had steak, and I had, just a 6-ounce steak, baked potato with butter and sour cream, and a glass of red wine, and then dessert with coffee. And we talked and we talked and we lingered. We stayed there for about 3 hours, maybe 4 hours actually. We had to keep asking the waitress if they needed our table, and fortunately they didn't, which is the advantage of eating out during the week. We actually closed down the restaurant. We were the last people to leave. And, during the meal, I used this time. So, this was a friend I had actually already told about my surgery before the meal. And so she knew that this was a food funeral. So, I used this meal as a time to talk to her more about the surgery, to answer any questions or concerns that she might have had about my surgery, and to help educate her a whole lot more. Because the thing is that these food funerals were not just for me, they were also for my friends. Because the majority of our friendship was spent going out to eat and going to restaurants. And now they need to understand that that is no longer really going to happen anymore. I mean, it might, and if it does, it's going to look a whole lot different than it looks now. I mean, some of my friends are the type of people who feel uncomfortable eating when other people aren't eating, or drinking alcoholic beverages when other people aren't drinking alcoholic beverages. Well, my friends are going to have to get used to that. They're now going to have to get used to me either not eating while they're eating, or eating very small portions, and not drinking for 6 months to a year, and not drinking while I'm eating. Just all these little things that we talk about all the time on YouTube. But I wanted my friends to truly understand how things are going to change for them too. And, and I can't remember if I mentioned this, but to me, it was also all about eating mindfully, slowly, thoughtfully, almost reverently. With every bite, I sat there and I savored it, and I thought about, never again will it feel really this way to eat food, to eat all of this food. Being able to have the choice, the fact that I can choose to have a lot of food or a little bit of food, whereas in the future, I'm not really going to have that choice anymore, because it's going to be a little bit of food. Trying to keep my stopwatch. I'm trying to time this because I don't want it to go too long. So to me, that's what a food funeral should be. And as a matter of fact, now it's October, and I had those food funerals in May. I still can look back on the food funerals, and it helps me stay on track now, because it's like I feel like I don't have the urge to, splurge on food, because I've done that. I've had steak since May, but it wasn't my food funeral. Now, I haven't actually had pasta, or if I had Mexican? No. So I haven't had pasta or Mexican or anything like that since May. And I am not sure if I'm going to have those again, actually, between now and my surgery, because my surgery is in December. So it is possible that, it might be the last time that I've had those. Wait. No, I did go to the taco festival. That's right. I forgot. I went to the taco festival. So that was Mexican, but it wasn't the same experience as going to a restaurant, because I didn't have, chips and salsa and margarita. I went to a taco festival and I just had some tacos. But anyway, that's off topic. I think that a food funeral should just be a time that you take to eat food that you love, that you enjoy, and to eat it mindfully, and to remember what it feels like to freely and easily be able to eat and to be able to drink with your meals, so that you have something to look back on. And maybe some people don't need that. For some people that might not be important, but for me, it is important. I like being able to look back on those experiences and to say, yeah, that was a great time. That was my steak food funeral. That was my Italian food funeral. Okay, so I've rambled on about that enough. Let me talk about to tell or not to tell. So I already mentioned I had two of the food funerals I had told my friends before the food funeral. The third friend, I told her at the food funeral that this is a food funeral and this is why. And so she's like, oh, very surprised, but she was supportive. I do have an advantage in that I am a healthcare professional and I love to research things. And so my friends know that chances are, if I mention anything medical or talk about a medication or a supplement, I'm really going to know more about it than they are. And so it's hard for them to have any objections, any legitimate concerns that I haven't already addressed in my research. And then the whole idea of surgery being the easy way out, which, who cares if it's the easy way out? I wish it was the easy way out. And I dare my friends to tell me that I don't deserve the easy way out. If they're my friends, they would want me to have the easy way out because I have already been through a lot of hard things. And I would like a pass, please. I would like to have the easy way out. And so, like I said, I dare them to say that I don't deserve to have the easy way out if that's what they believe that surgery is. We know that it's not. And as a matter of fact, one of my friends, when I first told her about the surgery, at first she was all excited because she thought it was the easy way out. And so she's like, oh, so you're going to have it done. And she's like, it's going to be great. You're going to lose weight. You're going to feel better. We're going to be able to go on our walks because I used to go on walks with her. And so she was so excited. And then when I started telling her more about the surgery and how little I'll be able to eat and, just all the things that we have to go through, she's like, well, that's not easy. She's like, are you sure that you want to do that? And so she was disappointed because she wanted me to have the easy way out and she realized that it wasn't. And the truth is, losing weight and keeping it off, there is no easy way out. There really isn't. I wish there was. There isn't. So whatever way you choose, surgery or not surgery, it's still going to be hard. And so, I knew that my friends were the type of people who were open-minded enough that they would listen to what I had to say, listen to the reasons behind why I wanted to have the surgery, and then even if they didn't agree, that they would support me. And, actually at this point, I think they all even agree that it's a good idea. So not only do they support me anyway, but they also agree that they think that it is a good idea for me to have the surgery. Okay, I'm going to pause this for just 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. I knew that I was going to have to do this video in 2 parts and then splice it together, so that was a stopping point. So I really knew that my friends were going to be supportive. Now, my family. So my father just retired here 1 year ago, and him and my mother have been divorced for about 25 years. So he actually was the first person that I told because I knew that he was going to be my primary support system. He's the one who took me to some of my appointments. He's going to be the one who takes me to my surgery. And so he was the first person that I told, and he was very supportive, like I thought he would be. He asked me a lot of questions, and once he realized, of course, that I had done my research and that I was confident that it was safe, as safe as a surgery can be, nothing is 100%, then he was on board. Now, so I have told all the people that I talk to on a regular basis, including like my boss. I work from home, and I did meet my boss once last year, so he knows I'm really overweight. But I told my boss just so I think it's going to make things easier for me to get time off later. I'm just told him the truth. He was very supportive. He's like, oh, I have lots of friends that have had that done. Good luck. Let me know if you need anything. And so that was great. Now, the people that I haven't told. So the majority of my family, including my mother, they live in Indiana. My mother and my brother and most of my aunts and uncles and cousins and nieces, nephews, they live in Indiana. And so the thing is that I am going to wait to tell my mother because my mother is the most negative person that I know. She really is. And I have learned a long time ago for my own peace of mind that I do much better if I just don't tell her certain things. So I will tell her about my surgery. I mean, I've decided that I think that since she's my mother, I have to tell her before my surgery and not after my surgery. So I will tell her eventually, maybe a week before surgery, maybe a day before surgery. I don't know. One of those. The thing is, and I don't care about the rest of my family knowing or my brother knowing, but the problem is that I don't want them to have to keep it from my mother. I don't want people to have to keep secrets for me. And so I am just going to keep it from them all until I tell my mother, and then I'll tell my brother, and then they can spread it to the rest of my family as they see fit. I've told all of my friends here also, it's not a secret. Tell whoever you want to tell. If it comes up in conversation, feel free to mention it. Because I don't want them to have to worry about who they need to tell or who they can't tell or anything like that. Because the truth is that I wish that I had known about the vertical sleeve gastrectomy years ago. Now, I did know about the lap band and I knew about gastric bypass, but I had decided that those weren't for me. And I don't know if I would have done the sleeve before now, but at least I would have liked to have known about it and had the opportunity to research it and decide when was the best time for me to have it. So I think that it is important to tell people, and I want to tell people. I mean, everyone has their own reasons, of course. Your own reasons are your reasons for not telling. I mean, for me, I have already had to spend so many years being embarrassed about my ups and downs of my weight. My family and my friends already have probably had that as a topic of discussion. Oh, there she is. She just lost 50 pounds. Oh, she gained it back again. Oh, she lost 100 pounds. Oh, she gained it back again. I mean, over and over again, I have had to live through so much embarrassment over my weight. That's why currently right now I barely have any photos of me on Facebook because every time I lost weight, like for example, the last time I lost weight, I started getting into 5Ks and I even walked, not run. I walked a half marathon. I run a lot of 5Ks, and so I had pictures of me at the finish line and pictures of me with my medals, and I was just so proud, and I had all these pictures, and everyone would just say congratulations, you're looking great, you're doing a great job with your weight, keep going. And then I gained it all back again, and I don't want to put those pictures out there to show everyone that I've failed yet again. Not just once, not just twice, but over and over again. And so the thing is that you get to the point where you have to desensitize yourself, or else I would never even have the courage to keep trying again. And so I think because of that, I don't care. I'm just going to tell people about my surgery because I've already had to deal with, putting up with whatever people think about the fact that I can't ever seem to keep weight off. So I don't care what they're saying about my surgery. The people that I truly care about, I have told, and their opinion is what matters to me the most. And if other miscellaneous people have negative things to say, then so be it. It's not important to me. So I think, I did want to mention, so, am I going to have any more food funerals? Well, I went to Vegas last month, and that in and of itself was kind of like a food funeral. And the funny thing is that during that trip, I ate less than I normally do because I looked at the whole trip as, oh, this is my last trip before surgery. And so it wasn't about trying to eat everything in sight. It was more like I sat there and once again I was mindfully eating, taking kind of a mental snapshot of what it felt like to be able to eat this food and be able to eat a variety of food and be able to eat as much as I wanted. Although surprisingly, when you're very mindful about what you're eating, you find that maybe you don't actually want to eat as much as you thought that you did. And that's really what happened. I just enjoyed the idea that I could eat this food. And then I did eat it, but I ate it in moderation and I didn't, go hog wild. And that's the way that I actually want to live my life after surgery. I want to be able to have those foods, but I'm going to have them in very small amounts and in moderation. And, if I had eaten like this my entire life, I probably wouldn't be this weight. I don't think it's a matter of exactly what I was eating, but it's how much I was eating and how I just had a total disregard for, probably respecting my body and respecting the food that I was eating. I mean, why do you need 5 or 6 slices of pizza? 2 slices of pizza probably really do taste just as good as 5. And, if I had just stopped at 2, I could have enjoyed the pizza and then not feel so horrible after I ate all the pizza. And so to me, that's what these food funerals kind of are, is my way of maybe eating food and putting food in the place that it should have been in the first place. And so going back, having some of my favorite meals, and then eat them mindfully as I should have been doing all along. And so am I going to have any more food funerals? Not exactly, or not formal food funerals. My last weigh-in appointment is just a couple days before Thanksgiving. So that means that, I can eat whatever I want to on Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving Day will kind of be like a food funeral. Once again, I'm not going to gorge myself on food. It's going to be eat what I want to eat and eat it in moderation. And actually that whole week I'm going to have company from out of town, so I will be going out to eat, and I am going to eat what I want to eat, but in moderation. And then I do have one more trip that will be coming up before my surgery, and I'll talk about that later. And so during that trip, it's going to be the same thing. Eat what I want to eat, but in moderation, not in gluttony and in reverence, so that I want to be able to think back on this time and feel proud of myself. And so far, actually, I am proud of myself. I am proud of this 6-month journey so far, food funerals and all. And so that's what I want to be able to look back on after my surgery. I want to be able to look back on this time, on my food funerals, and be able to say, yeah, I feel good about what I did, and I'm glad that I did it. And so that's my take on food funerals. And I think I really did cover who I'm telling. Basically, eventually everyone. Everyone will know eventually, and if they think that I took the easy way out, so be it. I don't care. So let me quickly say thank you to everyone who watched this, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And thank you to all my old and new subscribers. I have several videos coming up soon. I have a challenge box that I need to unbox. And then I also have my weigh-in is coming up next week. So I'll be coming back to you guys with the results of my 5th medically supervised visit. So you take care, and I will see you guys in a few days. Bye.